College Algebra 2.3 Part 3. So this is saying assume that y is a function of x. Write the equation using function notation. Function notation, you guys, for most of you are just going to want to say, oh, that's a fancy f of x. So that means I need to solve for y. So to solve this for y, I would need to subtract the 2x. Then after that, divide by this negative 3 in front of the y. So that becomes positive 2/3 x. That right there becomes a negative 2. So this y-intercept's negative 2. My slope is 2/3. This is my function notation. It then asked me to find f of negative 5. Personally, I would not have plugged negative 5 into that. I would have plugged the negative 5 into here for x so that I didn't have to work with this fraction. So negative 5 for here for the x would have been negative 10. Move your 10 over by adding it. That'd be 16 divided by negative 3. Doing it this way, this is going to be negative 10/3 minus 2 over 1, and then you have to get a common denominator. And most of you are a little bit weak with your fractions, so either do it with the fractions or, again, plug negative 5 in here for x and just solve for y. Now, f of b, that means just put a b here for this x, so that one's finished. 2/3 of b minus 2. Determine the intervals for which a function is increasing, decreasing, and constant. This is brand new to everybody, whether you are in honors or regular algebra 2. We need to read these left to right like you read a book. A lot of people tell me this piece right here is increasing, and that is incorrect. You have to start on the left and notice that I'm going down. This piece is decreasing. This piece is constant. This piece is increasing. So again, make sure you read them left to right like a book. Now, the next thing I want you doing on your test and your homework, when you ask for help on the homework, you need to give me the x values where the graph changes. See it changing from decreasing to constant at x equals negative 2. I want the x values where it changes. It doesn't matter what points are on the graph. I want that x value. So again, here I want this x value of 2 as well. Notice I went ahead and put my negative infinity to infinities also. So this piece was decreasing. This piece is constant. Read them left to right like a book. So then this piece is increasing. Now, when I ask you for the intervals where it's increasing, well, that's going to be from 2 to infinity. And this 2 on increasing is included. That is a bracket. The decreasing will go negative infinity to negative 2. This is the decreasing interval. That is open. So that would be a parenthesis. The constant, it's going from negative 2 to 2. The negative 2 is included, so a bracket. The 2 is open, so a parenthesis. Now, y'all be careful on the test and the homework, because if it says determine the open intervals for where it's increasing or decreasing, then you will always use parentheses. So please pay attention to the directions. If it just says intervals, then you got to do brackets and open. If it says open intervals, then it's always going to be open parentheses. Over what period of time is the water level changing most rapidly? See, that's asking about the slope. Now, ignoring a negative or positive, you're looking for the steepest slope. So the steepest slope would be over the first 25 hours. After how many hours does the water level start to decrease? Well, that would be at 50 hours. And so I'm going to kind of skip through the rest of these questions. I believe most of you can read these and understand them. All right, domain and range of this graph. So the domain of this square root function, you will take what's underneath the square root bar and set it greater than or equal to 0. So I took what's under there, 3x plus 11, greater than or equal to 0. So minus 11, divide by 3. So this is the domain, how we write it in Algebra 1 or Algebra 2. But in College Algebra, we would have to write that with a bracket, negative 11/3 to infinity. Now this graph was not shifted up or down. There's just a plus 0 at the end. So therefore, this is a picture of what it looks like. It got shifted to the left 11/3, up 0. So my domain and my range would look like this. Again, this one's in the homework on my test, so please make sure you understand it. If you need to, we can make you more examples, make them into flashcards, do it in a Google Doc, do something, because this is definitely a highly missed question. All right, and that summarizes our notes at this point. So remember, for it to be a function, you ask, are the x's all different? For a graph, does it pass the vertical line test? Domain is the x's, range is the y's. Okay, be able to make our graphs. X squared, y equals x cubed, cube root, square roots. Function notation's a big old fancy f of x. Increasing, decreasing, constant. I want to know where the x values change. And that ends our 2.3.